The morning sunlight slipped through the curtains, dancing gently across the white sheets. Diep sat at the edge of the bed, her hands trembling slightly as she pressed them against her chest. Something felt different. Her heartbeat was faster, her breathing uneven, and the strange warmth inside her body seemed to whisper a secret she hadn't yet dared to say aloud. Outside, the soft hum of birds filled the air, blending with the sound of a kettle whistling in the kitchen. James had already gone to work early that day, leaving her a small note on the table as he always did. "Take care of yourself. My love, I'll be home for lunch." But as Diep poured herself a cup of tea, the world seemed to blur for a second. The aroma of jasmine suddenly made her stomach churn, and she quickly set the cup down. She leaned against the counter, feeling the rush of something both terrifying and wonderful, an intuition that something inside her was growing, something fragile and precious. When Mother Lan, James's mother, stopped by later that morning, she noticed Diep's pale face and the gentle way she held her stomach. "Diep, are you feeling unwell?" she asked softly. Diep smiled weakly, her eyes glistening. I don't know, Mom. Maybe I just need some rest." But Mother Lan's heart was a mother's heart, sharp and tender. She studied Diep's expression and then said quietly, "Maybe it's time to visit the doctor, my dear. Sometimes happiness arrives quietly, even when we least expect it." The words lingered in the air like a spark of light. Diep looked down, her lips trembling with a small, hopeful smile. She didn't want to assume anything yet, but deep inside, she knew something beautiful was waiting to be confirmed. As she stepped outside later, the wind brushed gently against her face, and the sky seemed brighter than usual. Her hands instinctively rested over her stomach again. She whispered softly, barely audible even to herself, "Could it be?" The next morning, Diep woke up early. The nervous excitement in her chest wouldn't let her sleep. After breakfast, she decided to go to the small clinic at the end of the street, the same one where she had once brought flowers to thank the nurse who took care of James after his accident. Today, however, she came for herself. The waiting room was quiet, filled only with the soft rustling of magazines and the faint beeping of a monitor. Behind the glass door, Diep's hands were cold as she clutched her bag, her heart pounding louder than any sound around her. When the nurse called her name, she stood up slowly, her legs feeling almost weightless. Minutes passed like hours until the doctor finally returned with a calm smile. "Congratulations, Mrs. Diep," he said gently. "You're about 6 weeks pregnant." For a moment, she didn't breathe. The world stopped moving. Then her eyes widened, and her lips parted as if she couldn't believe what she had just heard. Pregnant. The word echoed in her mind like music, soft, beautiful, and overwhelming. Her vision blurred as tears welled up. She pressed a hand over her stomach and whispered, "So it's true." The doctor handed her the small ultrasound photo, a tiny shape, almost invisible. But it was life, it was love, it was the bond between her and James made real. On the way home, Diep couldn't stop smiling, even as the tears kept falling. Every tree, every passing face, every ray of sunlight seemed more alive than before. She imagined James's reaction, his surprised eyes, the way his hands would tremble when he touched her belly, the joy he would try to hide but couldn't. When she reached the house, she placed the ultrasound photo on the dining table and stared at it for a long while. She whispered softly, as if speaking to the little life growing inside her, "Your father doesn't know yet, but he's the kind of man who will love you with his whole heart." And for the first time, she felt the full warmth of being both a woman and a mother. That evening, the house was quiet except for the faint hum of the rain outside. James came home later than usual, his shirt slightly damp, his face tired but softening the moment he saw Diep waiting by the table. The lamp cast a warm light across the room, and something in her eyes immediately caught his attention, a brightness, a secret she was trying hard to hide. "Diep," he said gently, setting his briefcase aside, "you look different tonight. Did something happen?" She hesitated, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of a folded piece of paper on the table, the ultrasound photo hidden inside. Her heart raced. The words she wanted to say were simple, But somehow, they felt enormous. Taking a deep breath, she walked up to him, holding his hand. "James," she whispered, "I went to the doctor today." His brows furrowed, worry instantly flashing in his eyes. "Are you okay?" "What did they say?" Diep smiled, tears beginning to form. She took the small photo and placed it in his palm. "They said, we're going to have a baby." For a few seconds, James just stood there silent, frozen, as if his mind refused to process the words. Then his gaze dropped to the black and white photo, where a tiny heartbeat had once flickered. His lips parted, and the next thing she knew, his arms were around her. He held her tightly, almost desperately, as if afraid she might disappear. His voice broke when he spoke. "Diep, are you serious?" We're having a baby," she nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Yes, James, you're going to be a father." He laughed, not the confident laugh of a CEO, but a boyish, trembling one full of disbelief and joy. He pulled back just enough to look into her eyes, brushing her tears away with his thumb. "I don't know what I did to deserve this," he murmured, "but I promise you, I'll protect both of you every day, every moment." Mother Lan appeared quietly at the door, her eyes glistening. As she watched them, she didn't interrupt, only smiled tenderly and whispered, "Finally, my son is a father." The rain outside grew stronger, but inside that small home, warmth bloomed like sunlight. The past struggles, the pain, the storms, all of it faded beneath the sound of new life, new hope, and a love that had found its next chapter. The next morning, the world seemed brighter, softer, as if even the sunlight knew there was something to celebrate. James woke up early, still unable to believe the reality of last night. He turned his head and saw Diep sleeping peacefully beside him, one hand resting gently over her stomach. He smiled, a quiet, emotional smile that came from deep within. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Good morning, Mommy," he whispered playfully. Diep stirred, blinking sleepily, and when she met his gaze, she saw the same look she had fallen in love with years ago, only now it carried something new, a tenderness shaped by responsibility, gratitude, and boundless love. Downstairs, Mother Lan was already preparing breakfast. The aroma of warm porridge and jasmine tea filled the air. When the couple joined her, she greeted them with a gentle laugh. "The smell of motherhood suits you, Diep," she teased warmly. Diep blushed. "Mom, please." But Mother Lan only chuckled, her eyes shining with affection. "I can finally rest knowing my son has both a loving wife and a child on the way. You two have built something truly beautiful." James placed a hand on Diep's shoulder and looked at his mother. "We couldn't have done it without you, Mom." The family sat down to breakfast, a simple meal of porridge, bread, and tea. Yet it tasted sweeter than any feast. In that moment, everything felt perfect. The house that once echoed with silence was now filled with laughter, gentle conversation, and dreams of the future. After breakfast, James took Diep for a walk in the garden. The sun was rising higher, and the morning breeze carried the scent of flowers. He stopped, turned to her, and took her hands. "You've given me so much more than love, Diep," he said quietly. "You've given me a reason to be a better man, a better husband, and now a father." Her eyes shimmered with tears, but this time they weren't of sorrow. She smiled, squeezing his hands. "And you've given me courage to believe that happiness can grow from pain, that love can survive anything." As they stood there, surrounded by the soft rustle of leaves and sunlight dancing through the trees, James wrapped his arms around her. For the first time, they felt not just like two people in love, but like a family. And somewhere inside Diep, a tiny heartbeat echoed in rhythm with theirs, promising that this love, born of struggle and trust, would carry on to the next generation. Days turned into weeks, and the house was filled with warmth and gentle laughter. Every evening, James came home earlier than before. No more late meetings, no more restless nights of worry. His priorities had shifted. The company could wait, but these moments could not. Diep's belly began to show a little bump, and every time James saw it, his heart melted all over again. He would kneel, place his hand over her stomach, and whisper softly, "Hey little one, it's your dad. I can't wait to meet you." Sometimes, Diep would laugh, brushing his hair affectionately. "You talk to the baby more than to me these days," she teased. He grinned. "Well, I'm talking to both of you. My two favorite people in the world." Their evenings were simple yet full of love, sharing meals, watching the sunset, and dreaming about the baby's name. Motherland would sit nearby, knitting tiny socks and shaking her head with a smile. "You two are already acting like parents," she said. "I've never seen my son this gentle before." James chuckled, glancing at his wife. "That's because I finally understand what truly matters, Mom. Success isn't about power or money. It's about who waits for you at home." One evening, as rain tapped softly on the windows, James brought out a small wooden box. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet engraved with the words, "For our forever." He slipped it onto Diep's wrist. "No matter how life changes," he said, "I promise I'll always be here, for you, for our child, for this family." Diep's eyes glistened. She leaned into him, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "We've both been hurt," she whispered, "but maybe every wound was just leading us here, to this moment." James kissed her forehead gently. "Maybe love isn't about avoiding pain," he said, "but healing together, again and again." Outside, the rain continued to fall, cleansing the earth. Inside, the house glowed with quiet joy. The laughter of family, the scent of tea, and the promise of a future built not on perfection, but on love that endured. As the night deepened, Diep rested her head on James's shoulder. The baby moved softly, a small flutter like a whisper of life. James smiled, holding them both close, and thought to himself, "Yes, I am a father now, but more than that, I am home." Love is not measured by how perfect people are, but by how they choose to stay together when everything around them falls apart. The story of James and Diep reminds us that real love is built from understanding, patience, and shared effort, not from fairy tale promises. Every wound, every tear, every misunderstanding becomes a lesson that strengthens the bond between two hearts. When Diep announced her pregnancy, it was more than just the news of new life. It was proof that love had survived through storms, betrayal, and pain. Their journey wasn't about perfection, but about two imperfect souls learning to forgive and to begin again. They had learned that love is not always gentle at first. Sometimes it arrives with chaos and uncertainty. But if two people are willing to stay, to listen, and to grow together, even the deepest scars can bloom into something beautiful. James once believed that success was measured by his achievements, his company, and the respect of others. But through his time with Diep, he discovered something far more valuable: the quiet happiness of coming home to someone who truly loves you. He learned that a family is not just about shared blood, but about shared hearts, shared meals, and shared dreams. Diep, too, learned that strength does not mean facing the world alone. She found that allowing someone to care for her, to share her burdens, and to walk beside her through every storm was not a sign of weakness but of courage. Together, they created a home filled with warmth, laughter, and hope, a sanctuary where love could breathe freely. The lesson from their story is simple yet profound. Love requires daily effort. It asks us to be gentle even when we are hurt, to forgive even when we are tired, and to believe even when we are afraid. Every day, in small ways, a word, a touch, a smile, love must be chosen again. James and Diep's journey teaches us that happiness is not something we find at the end of the road, but something we build step by step, hand in hand, through both joy and sorrow. And in that process, we learn the greatest truth of all, that love, when nurtured with kindness and faith, is the gentlest and most enduring answer to every pain life may bring.